Hello and welcome back to another episode of NPC Next Portable Console. I'm here with Brendon Bigley. Hi, Brendon. How you doing?
Hello, I'm doing great. We just watched the Nintendo Direct, so I'm feeling pretty snazzy.
We're all pretty excited about that Nintendo Direct. And, of course, we have Federico Fatici. Hi, Federico.
Hi. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, Nintendo Switch 2, June 3rd. That's the
I
only thing I will say.
knew I saw that rolled up on the screen, and I thought, oh my gosh, Federico's going to be excited.
I have waited like a year to finally play that game.
Because you bought it on probably at least a couple
everywhere, yes, in a couple places.
Yeah.
And I don't know, there's something, I think I'm jumping ahead. Sorry, guys. Hey, Brendon. Hey, John.
Hey.
It's good to be here. We'll just jump right in. We're recording this right after the Partner Showcase Nintendo Direct.
Yeah.
And we're going to talk about a few games. Obviously, the one that I've been waiting for is Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. First of all, because I loved Remake. I started Rebirth last year. Didn't really vibe with the open worldiness of it all, even though I really liked I'm a fan of the franchise and the music and the characters, and I mean, it looks lovely. But just there's something about the idea of playing Final Fantasy VII on a Nintendo Switch 2 that I don't know, speaks to a part of my soul. Which is why I think
there are a couple announcements like that. I think in this direct.
I will say about Rebirth that I think it's gonna feel better on the Switch 2 than it did on the PlayStation 5.
Yes.
I think in particular, and what you're hinting at is the main reason I bounced off of that game initially, which is I felt personally, and I know this is maybe it's on the hotter take side, I felt like that game wasted my time in a pretty major way because of the open world stuff that you were referring to. And the idea of having it as more of a literal pick up and put down kind of game on a screen that I can bring around with me instead of needing to sit myself in front of a television and be like, instead of anything else I could be doing, I'm going to do this horrible side quest mini game
for hours.
He's better than me at English. You know, that's what I meant. Thank you, Brendon. That's exactly how I feel, exactly why I want to pick up this franchise again on the Switch 2. I think I'm going to play Remake first. Yeah. Also because I really enjoy Remake. It's a much more controlled environment. You're just in Midgar and...
Incredible game.
The DLC is included, I believe, because it's the Intergrade.
Yes.
Is it the Intergrade? It's the Intergrade version.
Was it?
Yeah, it is.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I never finished the Yuffie DLC on PC, so that's good. I will play Remake between now and June, and then finally I'll get to play Rebirth. So that was my favorite announcement of all of them.
Pre-orders start today for that Rebirth.
Pure today. Also, what we're getting today is a Nintendo Switch 2 enhanced version of Hollow Knight.
Yes.
They specifically called out Mr. Brendon Bigley during the Direct. They said,
we knew that there was one... we have an announcement just for you.
We knew there was one other version of Hollow Knight that we could get you, Brendon, to purchase.
I will say, so this version of Hollow Knight, this like enhanced version, they've actually been beta testing on Steam for the past couple months, which I already own and have played. And let me tell you something, it's really good. So if people are interested in playing Hollow Knight for the first time and they have a Switch 2, they're gonna be very happy. It runs great. The increased frame rate is awesome. It doesn't change that much, really. It's really just kind of a frame rate and kind of like some visual fidelity improvements. It adds a couple things here and there that were present in Silksong, like the grain filter and stuff. But you know, it's pretty good. I will say the things that really stuck out to me, there are a couple. Kyoto Xanadu is the sequel to a game called Tokyo Xanadu, which I just played for the first time like 2 weeks ago.
Interesting.
Steven and I are in the process of doing PlayStation Vita prep for our Vita episode that we're doing. And Tokyo Xanadu is one of those like long lost, forgotten RPGs that some people really go to bat for and some people don't. And the idea that they are making a sequel that just happens to be coming out relatively soon is pretty wild. So I'm excited about that. A sequel to Paranorma Site, which was an incredible like horror mystery game from a couple of years ago, which looked fantastic. And honestly, those are the two that stick out to me the most. Oh, one more, which I think is the most exciting one for people who haven't already played this game. Digimon Story Time Stranger That's another game where, as I was playing it, I was like, I really, really, really wish this was on Switch, because everyone who owns a Switch needs to be playing this game. It felt like a Nintendo Switch game while I was playing it on my PC. I think people are going to go wild for that thing. And it's going to be, and this is a good thing and a bad thing, but it's going to be the game that everybody points at when the new Pokemon game comes out and doesn't look or play as good as people want it to. They're going to point at Digimon Story Time Stranger and be like, look what they did on the Switch 2 without the same resources as the Pokemon company.
Yeah.
Federico, I'm really excited about Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. I mean, not a new title, but I was playing that on Game Pass when it first came out, and then I canceled my Game Pass subscription and lost the game. And I had been wanting to go back to it. I got pretty far through that game, but I hadn't completed it. So I think I'm going to pick it up on the Switch. It's another game that I think could work pretty well in a handheld mode.
Yeah, and there's also Bethesda announced the Oblivion remaster in case you didn't want to play it.
Fallout 4.
On PC, you can now play it on a Nintendo Switch too. I was mostly stoked for the official release date for the Adventures of Elliot.
Oh, yes.
Oh my God, I can't believe I forgot about that.
Yeah. What's it called? The Millennium Tales? Is that?
The Millennium Tales, which apparently the game is like a time travel story.
Yes.
Which was the big reveal from this trailer.
It's like, that demo was already incredible. And now you're telling me that it's about time travel through different ages? I mean, sign me up.
Yes.
June 18th.
That you're basically making like what? A modern Chrono Trigger? Is that what you're going for?
So the vibe, okay, so for people who haven't played the demo, The Adventures of Elliot, the short version and the way that I always pitch it is just Square Enix makes a Zelda.
Yes.
Like that's all it is. It's just like a Zelda game by Square Enix with the 2D or HD 2D art style. But the big reveal from the Direct today, beyond the release date, was this idea that the entire overworld has 3 different versions of it in 3 different time periods that you can jump back and forth between.
So
cool.
To clarify, your pitch would be Square Enix makes Zelda Oracle of Ages.
Yes, exactly.
Right.
You're so right. Yeah.
So I'm really excited.
It was a good Direct. I was really impressed by the Direct. I do think it's funny how like almost every single video game event I've watched for the past 6 to 8 months has almost ended or like close to the end is Resident Evil Requiem. It's like every single company is trying to get their little piece of Resident Evil Requiem that they can show off.
Yeah.
I'm excited about that game. I played it at New York Comic Con. It's really, really impressive. I'm a big Resident Evil fan, so I'm really looking forward to it. But I am getting to the point where I'm like, I just need to stop seeing pieces of this game. Just like, let me get my hands on it. Especially, I mean, it comes out at the end of the month, so I don't have to wait too long. The weirdest thing, though, is that they're releasing it alongside 7 and 8 on Switch 2. I have no idea why they're releasing all 3 games on the same day instead of splitting them up. Feels very weird to me, but whatever.
So that's a quick recap of the Nintendo Direct. We have at least 3 or 4 major news items that we need to cover this week. I wanted to start with these Nintendo sales numbers and Virtual Boy related news. For some reason, John has become the assigned person for Virtual Boy related content.
I am. I'm obsessed with this story, and one of the things in looking at this actually is, although these go on sale on February 17th, I realized today that you can pre-order them on the store. I'm not sure if
the Virtual Boy replica headset.
Yes, both the replica headset and the cardboard version of it. And I don't know if that you have to be like an online subscriber, a Nintendo online subscriber to pre-order or not, and everybody else gets it on the 17th or what, but it worked for me. So I actually this morning ordered the cardboard version because I looked at some of these previews of it because Nintendo did a thing and a lot of media people got their hands on them. And I think it's fair to say that the reaction was, this is cool and interesting, but I probably would not use it more than once for like an hour kind of thing. Like, it's not super comfortable. It's kind of bulky. And I thought to myself, do I really need another gadget of this size in my house that I will probably use once or twice and then put on a shelf? So I got the cardboard one. That's what I decided to do. And so this thing is, it is what it is. I think that Stephen Totillo had a really good take on this, which was he had a chart that he posted on Blue Sky showing the annual playing users of the Switch, and that there has been a decline this year. And that decline, his take on it was Nintendo's going to sell you some high-priced collector items in years where the number of players is declining to try to make up that revenue. And I think that that's actually a pretty good take. We've seen Nintendo spreading out into things like the Alarmo. We have this Virtual Boy thing, accessory, and we also have the talking flower from Super Mario Wonder, which actually I ordered that one too because I thought that looked really fun. I don't have an Alarmo, but I am going to have a talking flower that can probably interrupt me in the middle of recording podcasts.
You better believe it's gonna, and I'm so excited for the first time it happens while I'm on the call.
Because I think it apparently says just random stuff throughout the day to you. So
I wonder if you can change it to Italian. That was my favorite thing about Super Mario Brothers Wonder was switching the talking flower to Italian.
Yeah.
It really made the game like way better. I don't know if that would be the same for you, Federico.
I don't know if I've seen that, but
I had a great time with that.
Yeah, so those are the accessories that are kind of coming down the pike. And on top of that, we learned that this week, for the very first time, the Switch's sales exceeded the DS, so it trails only the PS2 at this point.
Less than 5 million units behind the PlayStation 2, which is still the best-selling console of all time at 160 million units. The Switch is now over 155 million units. So
getting closer, though, and the longer Nintendo keeps supporting both consoles, I think the more likely it is that they're going to take that top spot. And there's got to be somebody in a boardroom at Nintendo who is saying that that's the strategy, right?
Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, I'd be curious to see what the run rate is these days. Like, how many are they selling per quarter or something like that? I didn't look that up, but
makes you think though just how much of an incredible success the PS2 was back in the day.
Right?
Yeah.
Like the Nintendo Switch, a global phenomenon now, is still trailing behind the PS2. Like, I think we take it for
decades
granted.
later.
Like that era of gaming, like those 5 years of the PS2 were wild, absolutely wild.
People were using the PS2 Slim as like a coaster by the end of it. It was just like you could go buy them in bulk at Costco.
Yes.
Kind of wish those days would return.
Yeah.
Everything we buy is really, really expensive these days.
Yeah. Speaking of money. We have an update from Valve, of all companies, on their new Steam hardware blog. See, Valve is blogging now. Blogs are back. And
blogs are back, baby.
Blogs are back, and Valve is blogging. And it's not a good It's not a good debut blog post, unfortunately.
It's a recipe for mac and cheese that just tastes horrible.
It kind of does. And I'm quoting, when we announced these products, so the Steam Machine, the Steam Controller, and the Steam Frame, back in November, we planned on being able to share specific pricing and launch dates by now. It's February 2026. But the memory and storage shortages you've likely heard about across the industry have rapidly increased since then. The limited availability and growing prices of these critical components mean we must revisit our exact shipping schedule and pricing, especially around Steam Machine and Steam Frame. They
Good
continue.
Quote. They never said delay once.
They never said delayed, and they say our goal of shipping all three products in the first half of the year has not changed, but we have work to do to land on concrete pricing and launch dates that we can confidently announce.
Yeah.
So what they're saying
me if I'm
is,
wrong. Wasn't this announced for the first quarter of the year initially?
I thought so.
Yeah.
I thought there was
the first half.
A lot of expectation for a January date is what.
Well, they said early. Initially, they said early 2026. And so
Yes.
when you say early 2020 something,
you don't mean June.
It usually means January to late March. You don't mean June. That's not early 2026.
That's not. That's
you
middle.
don't mean May. That's not early 2026.
No.
So now they're saying in the first half of the year. So it technically can be June. And what they're saying also, these are gonna be more expensive. Like the Steam Frame and the Steam Machine are gonna be more expensive than we originally thought, and we need a few more months.
What's really disappointing to me about this is that this, to me, is an acknowledgement that they hadn't pinned down their component costs. That they hadn't already ordered their memory and their storage, and now they're in kind of a bad spot.
Yeah.
A kind of flip on this, actually, which is some news that just broke this morning as well, is that the PS5 is outselling the Switch 2 pretty significantly right now. And that's because Sony was stockpiling memory over the past 6 to 8 months, which is enabling them to ramp up production at a time where everybody else is trying to figure out if they need to raise their prices again.
Interesting.
That's very interesting.
Yeah. Bummer about the Steam machine. I'm increasingly glad that you sent me that link, Federico, during Black Friday to buy this PC right? that I got.
They try to make this sound a little bit nicer by having a section of this post about how well can Steam machine play newer, more demanding games on Steam. In our testing, the majority of Steam titles play great at 4K 60 FPS with FSR on Steam machine. That said, there are some titles that currently require more upscaling than others, and it may be preferable to play at lower frame rate with VRR to maintain a 1080p internal resolution.
Can I tell you in my testing what that probably means is that when they say most games run great at 4K at 60 FPS, they mean all games released before 2015, which is technically most games, and every game released after 2015 is definitely not going to run at 4K at 60 FPS, which is technically not most games. They're not wrong about that. But
it's a little clever.
I think that's clever turn of phrase here.
Yeah. So looks like we have a few more months in terms of waiting for these devices.
Yeah.
And, Federico, they also mentioned what the foveated streaming means, which I thought was very interesting because it's not foveated rendering, which happens on the device itself. It's actually doing the eye tracking in the device, and then directing the stream based on where you're looking, which to me is very interesting, but at the same time, a little concerning in terms of whether that's going to create latency. I mean, I think that solving the latency issue for that, maybe their foveated area that they're streaming to is big enough that it can handle kind of, if you're looking around a lot, without having any latency issue. That's what I would expect they would be doing in order to deal with that. But it'll be interesting to see how that actually turns out once people actually have these in their hands.
Yeah. I don't know. We'll keep checking on this, and but it's not going to be anytime soon. So
I'm glad I got a mini PC too at Christmas time.
That was a good call. Now, the other major news of the week is the Anbernic RG Vita and RG Vita Pro. So Anbernic is making it after the GBA and the GBA SP and a Nintendo DS Lite. They're now making a PS Vita lookalike, and they're making two models: the RG Vita and the RG Vita Pro. To say these are not even styled after the PS Vita. These are basically replicas, just like they did before with the GBA and the SP and the DS Lite. These are basically, they're taking an old design and they're making supposedly an Android version of them. We don't have details right now, and it's very complicated because. So, initial excitement from me when I saw this video, I was like, "Oh my God, they're making a PS Vita."
Yeah.
And very quickly, the story evolved into a series of questions and doubts and skepticism regarding the display, the pricing, the performance, and the chipset that's going to be inside these things. Brendon had a great article on Wavelengths about this that I recommend people go check out, basically encapsulating all my feelings. The idea being that Anbernic, with this latest releases, and especially the DS, the RGDS, they sold this console as being capable of doing DS and 3DS games, and it was not like that at all when it launched. The device was full of bugs and issues that the community had to fix. But even with the community fixes, you're barely getting by with DS games because 3DS emulation is just not going to happen on that machine, at least not to an acceptable, playable level. Yeah. Are we looking at a potential repeat of the same story with the RG Vita? Because
I don't even think it's potential. I think it's just, there's no way. There's no way you're going to be playing PlayStation Vita games on here in any meaningful capacity. And the reason for that really is that Vita 3K, the main Vita emulator that exists out in the world right now, it's just not there yet. It's getting there. Don't get me wrong. I mean, even in the short time that I've been testing it, and by short time, I mean like the past 2 years, like it's gotten a lot better in the past 2 years. Don't get me wrong. Persona 4 Golden used to not boot, and now it does, and it's playable, which is great. But some simpler games like Spelunky, for example, don't boot still, or aren't playable. It's really kind of a crapshoot, and also the user interface is confusing and weird because you have to like install games manually. It's a weird thing. Point being, not only do I not think that Vita 3K is in a place where you could build a piece of hardware around it the way Anbernic is doing, but alongside that, I don't trust that Anbernic is going to be putting a chipset that is capable of running those games in here in the first place.
Exactly.
Which the main crux of the piece that I wrote is that what this actually is to me is like maybe the best PSP you can buy. Like I think there's a world in which this ends up being the go-to for people who want to be playing PSP games, mainly because the main PSP emulator, PPSSPP, is like the gold standard and has been for like 15 to 20 years at this point, which is pretty wild. And atop that, the fact that this thing is shaped like a PlayStation Vita and has a second analog stick on the right means you can go and individually per game remap that second analog stick to camera controls. So like for Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep, which uses L and R for camera controls, you can then set it to be the analog stick. Monster Hunter Freedom Unite, which uses the D-pad for camera controls, you could set that to the right analog stick. And being able to do that on a per-game basis, and then realistically, given the chipset they probably will put in this thing, upscale all that stuff to 2x, 3x. I think that this is maybe going to be the answer to the thing that I said at the end of our Hody episode last year, which is like, this is the PSP that I've been asking for. Being promoted as the RG Vita, I think is going to mislead a lot of people into thinking it's something that it's not. Yep. I think leaning more into its PSP capabilities will probably save face a lot for them. The big confusion points for me still, though, are there's 2 editions of this, the Vita and the Vita Pro. No idea what the difference is between them, except that the Pro gets colored buttons, which I think looks horrible.
Why?
It looks stupid, yeah.
Yes.
My guess is that one of them will have an OLED screen and one of them won't. I'm guessing that the Pro will have an OLED screen, and that might be the difference.
Even if they lean into PSP, though, Brendon, it's still called the Vita. That's a real big mistake.
Yeah. It's a real big mistake. I mean, it looks just like the Vita, right?
At least the RGDS was called DS, even though they were showing...
It wasn't called the RG3DS.
It wasn't called 3DS. Now they're calling this a Vita. And the other thing I don't understand is you're calling this a Vita, but you're giving it Nintendo-style buttons on the front?
That's killing me. Sakura Retro Modding is about to make money hand over fist on their Etsy shop.
Easiest product sell of the decade. Really, like, why? I don't know.
Realistic, like I'll be honest. I have a lot of doubts about this thing. Realistically, I will buy one as like PSP. You know,
that's our curse, unfortunately.
Because also, I mean, there's also the other aspect of it, which is that if it runs Android. Like, just because it can't play Vita games, it'll still play PSP really well, but also play everything else that we would want on a device like this for the most part. And on top of that, will also probably be great for streaming because it's going to be a 16:9 aspect ratio screen.
Do we know what kind of Wi-Fi they have in this? I don't think they've said yet.
We don't know anything.
We don't have any details outside of what it looks like.
Yeah. So, very skeptical, but also still kind of excited. I think.
Yes. There are compelling reasons to buy this thing, and almost none of them are the way they're being advertised.
Obviously, if they come out and say this is going to cost you $300, like that's going to be a no from me.
Yeah, that's a non-starter. Yeah.
But if it follows the sort of the pricing scheme of the RGDS and the latest things they've been doing, then I'll think about it. But John, what happened to AYANEO this week?
Well. They stepped in it again, guys.
I could not believe this. Especially just some context from last week.
Yeah.
They said that they were going to scale down on releasing and shipping devices so they could focus on quality. Let's just remind people that that's what happened. Okay, John, what happened this week?
Yeah. And so what happened was the AYANEO Pocket S Mini, which is a 4:3 aspect ratio, small horizontal handheld, looks by all accounts like a really nice device. It turns out people discovered that they were shipping with a smaller battery than advertised. And not just by a little bit. We're talking about nearly 25% smaller. It's 4,700 milliamp hours instead of 6,000, which is what was advertised. And so AYANEO fessed up to it. They said, yeah, that's right. They had a supply chain explanation for why this happened.
Sure.
Okay. And they offered people either that they could cancel their orders or they could get a free Pocket S Mini.
Pocket Air Mini. Yeah.
Air Mini, yeah. Pocket
This
Air
is the
Mini.
best part.
Which looks the same, costs a lot less, and has a lot less powerful.
So you're getting like what? Like
I think it's $90 or something.
You're getting like a third wheel or something. Like so when the battery runs out on your Pocket S Mini, you can switch back temporarily to the
Air
older, crappier one for a while. I mean,
it's not good. It's not good. Bad luck for everybody.
it's not. They're not having a lucky streak right now at all. Mm-mm. Poor AYANEO. Okay. They'll get the juice.
Maybe
back
they turn the
eventually.
ship around. We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see. Well, hopefully we won't have another story like this for a little while.
Yeah.
Fingers crossed.
I wanted to mention, since I got the notification, since I'm in the Discord, and when I got that notification, I immediately thought of Brendon. Ayan has officially discontinued the Odin 2 family of devices. The Odin 2, the Odin 2 Mini, and the Odin 2 Portal. There's discounts remaining on the Odin 2 Portal. But yes, after 3 years, the Odin 2 has been removed from the Ayan website. It's, I would say like a trailblazer device. The Odin 2 is still, from many perspectives, like it set a gold standard for these Android-based handhelds in terms of display size, ergonomics, price, power, battery life. And I think it's been quite an accomplishment for Ayan to have that device. And but it looks like the Odin 3 is the future. And you can get an Odin 2 Portal. I don't think the Odin 2 Portal was really that successful for them.
No, it's still that one. There is an update on this article that came out that said that originally they said they erroneously stated that the entire Odin 2 lineup was being discontinued, and in fact, the Ayn Odin 2 Portal is still available for purchase and it's on sale. So
yeah, that's gonna go away soon.
I think so, but it hasn't. I don't think it's officially been.
Here's
the 2 and the 2 Mini, rest in peace.
My conspiracy theory is that they have a bunch of leftover shells, and that's where Anbernic is buying their RG Vita from.
Possible.
I mean,
if we get our hands on the RG Vita and it feels exactly like the Odin 2 Mini, it's going to be very interesting.
Yeah,
I'm curious to see if they follow the same structure with the Odin 3 lineup. Also, I wonder if they're going to be releasing a Mini and a Portal, or just like experimenting with the form factor the same way they did with the 2 lineup. I hope they do. I think a
Mini would be great, but it might be have really short battery life with that more powerful chip in it.
Yeah,
I was going to say I think the Portal would probably be more successful as an Odin 3, as an Odin 3 than an Odin 2, just because of that larger screen real estate being used for emulating PC games. I feel like that would probably still be a Steam Deck Mini that people are asking for.
Yeah, I agree. Well, so on NPC XL today, we're going to do a couple of things. I have 2 Nintendo Switch 2 controllers. Actually, 3. Make it 3 controllers that I want to talk about. And I want to pre-order at least one of these. So we'll need to have a conversation. And I think Brendon got a new Handheld for free.
I did.
Kind of an interesting story. So we'll talk about that. Brendon is getting free handhelds now. I think you were the one giving away stuff until a few weeks ago. Now you're getting free stuff?
I needed to make room for new stuff. Yeah.
Right.
That's what happens when you got the good vibes going of giving away all your old handhelds. People come back and they give you theirs.
Mm-hmm.
I suppose so. Okay. Well, John,
actually, he's walking the streets of New York, just asking people if they have a spare
handheld.
The spare handheld.
I mean,
buddy, can you spare a handheld?
Could be worse.
Do you have a way to play games on the go? Do you have games on your phone?
John, where can people find us besides the streets of New York?
You can find Brendon, I was going to say, on the streets of New York looking for handhelds. You can also find him on wavelengths.online, and Federico and I are over at macstories.net, and we're all on social media. Just look for our names there. Talk to you later, guys.
Bye.
Bye.